Welcome to Why Are You Awake? The podcast for night owls, by night owls, for night owls, or people interested in the night owl lifestyle. What? Paul Farahvar here. I'm your host. This week we have one-of-a-kind comedian, Stephen Marshall. This guy's a legend. You will love this episode if you are a comedy fan. He's all over the place. The podcast actually took like 17 hours. I had to edit it down because he has ADD. I have ADD, and that's a bad combination. You'll see the struggles I had trying to keep him on track and answer questions. But it's a great episode. It's under 40 minutes. You'll enjoy it. Check out Steve as well. Make sure you follow him. If you're listening to this podcast, go watch it on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Paul F Comedy, and subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the page, I should say. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and all the other things. I have a Substack now at Paul F Comedy, also TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn. Go to my website, Paul F Comedy, for upcoming dates. I'll be in St. Paul, Minnesota this weekend at Laugh Camp, October 31st and November 1st. Check it out. Tell your friends. On November 8th, I'll be at the Lincoln Lodge, and then I'll be at the Den opening for Greg Fitzsimmons at the Den. November 9th, Sunday, I'll be part of Gen X-ish with Kristen Toomey and Jeannie Dugan at Comedy Vault in Batavia. I'll be at Lake Villa at Fairmont Grounds on November 11th, Veterans Day. And then I'll be in Lake Geneva on November 14th. And then stand-up sit-down, November 17th and 24th. I'll be at Brad Garrett's in Vegas, November 17th through the 22nd. And go check it out there. I'm featuring Brad Garrett, will be there. If you like this podcast, share it, tell your friends, give us a review, and I'll send you one of these cool Why Are You Awake pins. That's the logo. Paul F Comedy for all my upcoming dates and details about how to get tickets. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Numbers are going up. I think people like it. I know it's taken me a long time to edit some of these, so I apologize. In the meantime, I'm working on some other projects. So follow me, subscribe to my email list so you know when I'm coming to town, and also check out our sponsors. Hey gang, as some of you know, I used to be a practicing lawyer in Chicago. I no longer practice, but from time to time, I need a lawyer. And when I need a lawyer, I call my friend Scott Shapiro. Scott Shapiro has been practicing law for over 25 years in Chicago. He does it all, from workers' compensation to personal injury, employment issues, and even entertainment law and contract needs. If you need a lawyer, call my friend Scott. 312-648-8800. That's 312-648-8800. Or you can email him at scott@scottshapirolegal.com. Tell him I sent you. You're welcome. It's time for Why Are You Awake? Paul Farahvar here, your host. This week we have who I consider to be the true definition of what this podcast is about. Perhaps the godfather of being a night owl in the comedy community. The very funny Stephen fucking Marshall.
The godfather of night owls. It is true.
You are the night owl of night owls, because I'll be driving home from a show or whatever, and I'll be at a gas station. I'll go on my Facebook, and you're live, and I might be in the West Coast. It's 1 a.m. there, which means you're up at 4 a.m.
Yes.
in New York City.
Yes.
So you're a night owl.
I'm a night owl. I do my hashtag walk with Steve every day. I've been doing it for 5 years. Sometimes I do it at 11 a.m. rarely. Sometimes I do it at 4 a.m. But the thing is, I traditionally don't go to bed till 6 a.m.
Same. Not traditionally, but lately, I'm trying to go to bed. I'm usually 4 to 12. You're 6 a.m. to...
Well, I'm 6 a.m. I might wake up at 2 p.m.
Okay.
But if I come home after doing, I don't like to even call it a show, whatever I do, comedy, and then I really get into it, because it takes me about an hour to go over every minute to really write it out.
After the show or
After
before?
the show, yeah. Now, I don't do every minute, but I pick the highlights of the minutes. You know what I mean? And
you're listening to your whole show right after.
I
the show.
cannot listen to the whole show because many of them are an hour and 5 or an hour and 15. Even afterwards, when I'm meeting people, in my head I'm recording. Oh my God, I said this. I got to go back to that. I think I said this. I got to go back to that because I do so much free association, whatever. So then I come home. if I have to write it out, it could take till 8 a.m.
Why are you writing it out? Pen to paper or
Pen
computer?
to paper. I don't like typing.
Wow.
And I'll tell you something also. There's a reason for that. I was a painter. I was a fine artist when I was a young boy. To me, I'm not writing, I'm painting. And the feeling, the pen is my paintbrush. And I'm painting these words, and I like to feel them. And Mel Brooks does the same thing.
Okay.
Mel Brooks, when he writes a script, he writes
also
it. He likes to feel
97.
it. Yeah, but I think, you know, I think, first of all, that's a big thing. Everybody thinks because you're older, you can't learn or you can't do these things. It's not a question of that.
I write sometimes. I'll write some notes myself.
I like the feeling of the pen on the paper.
That makes sense.
And I don't talk like that. I don't talk like if you slow it down, it's ta, 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 ta. I like the flowing.
You're like, I am.
Yeah. I like
talking.
to feel it.
In cursive.
In cursive.
Do you really write in cursive?
No, I don't write in cursive. I don't write in cursive. I write in block letters. I think that's what they call it. I also use, it's very important, like in music, to write the pauses down. If it's a short pause.
You write the word?
Yes, I write the word pause. Or if it's a very short pause, just a millisecond, I'll write for the pause. If I feel that the word is elongated, all right, I will put like a squiggly line. I have certain, which means the word is more drawn out.
Okay. Why are you writing everything out right after a show?
It's fresh in my mind.
Got it.
And also, there was a time I was doing 500 shows a year. I was doing 250 shows in New York City at the Comic Strip, Stand Up New York, Dangerfield's a Broadway Comedy Club, the Greenwich Village Comedy Club. And I was doing 250 on the road. And by the time I go on to the next day, and I was doing even at Dangerfield's, I was given the privilege to do 40 minutes to an hour, which you know is unheard of. I get what Holtzman, I hope you know, my
Brian
favorite
Holtzman.
comedian now, Brian
Got a
Holtzman.
picture of him right there.
In my opinion, Brian Holtzman is the best comedian. This feels like a real show now. Hey, can we get the camera on this? Can we get the... every one of these podcasters has 19 cameras in the... Excuse me a second. I want to make sure this camera has me. I want to make sure this camera has me. I want to make sure this camera has me.
Now you got to go back to the same
now
spot.
I got to go back to one. I've directed some movies. We're back in movie nomenclature, back to one.
That's your writing process, is you'd listen back, and so you'd remember it after a show.
If I don't have to listen to a show, I don't. If I sort of know the flow or whatever, if I'm doing an hour and 5 minutes, there could be 15 new minutes. I've got to listen or at least write it out if I don't remember it. That's what I do after. I don't like to say a show, but that's what I do after whatever I do, comedy, because I'm trying to get away
Why don't you like saying show?
Because I don't want to be a performer. I'm trying to get rid of all my affectations, which is impossible to do.
I don't understand why calling it a show is an affectation.
I feel that every person should have a philosophy on why they're doing what they're doing.
Okay.
So Jackson Pollock, the painter, he decided not to use a paintbrush. He liked to have the energy of throwing the paint at the canvas.
You're like the Jackson Pollock of comedy.
I kind of am in a way.
Yes.
If they've seen me.
Why don't you finish? I want to learn the rest of this.
Can I be very honest? I can't stop looking at Paul's hairline. It is
amazing.
It is so much better than mine.
Propecia, Rogaine, and
No way.
biotin. Yep.
And this is my worst side. I used to hear like people like, I can't not pay attention to the cameras. Barbara Streisand and other people used to talk about only
Bad
shoot me
side.
from my good side. This is my worst side, and every camera is on that
I'm
side.
sorry. No, this one's not. It's on your direct.
Hi.
This is going to be your main camera.
Yeah.
You would be a horrible witness in a deposition, by the way. Like
Everybody knows you used to be an attorney, right?
I can see the degrees up there. No big deal. You don't like to call what you do a show.
Because I'm trying to get away from affectation. So when I was very young guy, a very nervous guy, I got a degree in accounting. I turned down a job with Price Waterhouse, and I took a job in Brooklyn, New York, teaching accounting and business law. Many of the students were from bad neighborhoods. Some of them had GEDs. Most of them were women. It was like a secretarial school. I wanted to be a comedian so badly. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you become a comedian? You write 5 minutes, you go to an open mic. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't go well. I just had to wake up early, and I had this thing because we're talking about staying up all night.
Yeah.
I've always stayed up late at night. My father would always stay up late at night. You know, I think that's when he could get away from my mother. I think that's when he could have his thoughts to himself.
Right.
I used to see my father, who passed away when I was 15, eating ice cream out of a quart container, standing up with a spoon.
So going back to the question.
Yeah, you have to take me back to the question. This is more.
What do you call what you do?
Because my whole life I was brainwashed by my parents. I was raised very conservatively. I had to do well in school. I decided my comedy was going to be like my Aunt Marilyn's house. My father died when I was 15. There was a lot of sickness in our house. We were always visiting relatives. And my house at home was just very not fun. But when I would go to Aunt Marilyn, they were trying to save my life. They would take me weekends.
Yeah.
And they already had two children, 15 and 13. And they took another child.
How old were you at the time?
I want to say 45 to be funny. No, but I was 15 or so. And
so same age, roughly.
And I would make her laugh so hard. And I didn't have a script. I wasn't a comedian. I was just a kid desperate for love. And she was 5'10", 188 pounds. And when she laughed, she was from Flatbush, Brooklyn, like me. And when she laughed, she would stomp her legs she would shout to my Uncle Abe. They were Jewish. She would go, "Abe, he's an idiot. Abe, he's so funny."
Okay, don't stop anymore. My neighbors are going to hate me.
He's an idiot. Yeah, actually, I'm causing trouble. I'm the only person that could get in trouble on a podcast. I'm always doing something to offend someone by accident.
So she
allowed me to be myself.
But it made you happy.
Oh, it
watching
made me
her
so happy.
Okay.
I felt loved. More than happy, I felt loved.
So you were putting on a show for her.
Yes, I was putting on a show.
So why is it okay to be called a show back then, but no longer a show?
Because it wasn't a show. It was.
You just said it was a show.
No, you're using
transcript.
See, you're a lawyer.
Let me get the court reporter.
You're a lawyer, but nomenclature, and I'm pretty sharp myself. Nomenclature can be used in different ways. The N word for black people, if black people say it to each other, it's a compliment. If somebody else says it, might not be. This was more of a euphemism, a show. I was acting up.
When you're talking to other comedians, what do you say? If you're going,
I just say I'm just going to do my comedy, and I don't want to call myself a comedian either.
Oh my gosh, you're making it so difficult.
But I'll explain why. So I studied everything about Steve Martin. He had a philosophy that if he got away, that most comedians use setup to create tension, and the punchline breaks the tension. And Steve Martin had a philosophy that if he didn't use any setups and he didn't indicate where the punchline was, the people would get nervous and they would choose for themselves instead of the comedian dictating. So he had a philosophy.
That's what you do.
Yes. I understood his philosophy when it wasn't in a book. I had to take it from articles, and I said, this makes sense to me. I'm glad you saw that. And I have evolved it even further than Steve Martin. And he's my all-time favorite, where I want it to be like my Aunt Marilyn's living room, where I don't go on stage, I don't get up on stage anymore, and I don't use a microphone.
That's true.
Because I think these are affectations. And I thought of one today, and I've mentioned it.
You don't use a mic ever?
Very rarely. Only if I have like a 500-seater or if I feel there are pockets where people can't hear me.
Okay, so let me explain to people how we met. And I'm not going to use any names or clubs because it's irrelevant.
We're going to protect the innocent.
I'm going to protect the innocent.
Yeah.
So we did a show. You were featuring, I was hosting, and there was a headliner. I didn't know you. You had a very specific thing that you wanted me to bring you up as. And as a host, I'm like, whatever. I always like to make sure that everyone's comfortable.
Me too.
I take the job very seriously because I think hosting is a craft that I like and I love doing it. But it was so bizarre and so specific. I was like, I'm just going to follow the lead. And then you went out and did the show. It's a full room of maybe 150 people.
A major comedy club.
And you don't start on stage. You come from the back of the room and you just start going into the audience, doing crowd work, but not like crowd work that people do now. You just are talking with them and there's no questions. You're just...
Yeah, I'm not going, where are you from? Or why are you wearing that hat?
Pointing
or
things
saying,
out.
Hey, black guy with the Yankee cap. You know what I mean?
You are just conversing with people and making them uncomfortable sometimes, but also like just getting everyone on board. and you bring the room into a mad melee.
I'm creating some form of chaos.
It's chaos to the point where everyone's laughing, which is your job. And then I just remember, oh, there's still a headliner.
Right.
And you made it so hard for that headliner. I remember watching the show. I was like, oh, the guy who booked this show hates the headliner. It was so and I had to go back up and reset the room, thankfully, for the headliner, because I had to do another 5 minutes. I was like, okay, well, and we did this for 14 shows.
We did 14 shows, seven nights.
And I was like, wow. And it was never the same. You would do some of the same riffs and stuff, but it was all like off the top of your head.
It's kind of like, I kind of use the people as a Rorschach test, like in psychology and ink blot. They hold up the ink blot and,
what you're doing, you kind of bring everyone together, but I can see like sometimes where people don't get it. What the fuck is this person doing? Mm-hmm. And they're offended by it.
Because the paradigm is so different. Most comedians stand behind a microphone. And do you ever see the comedian when they move the mic stand to let's say the right side, because I have this over here, and they rest on it like this with their elbow? That's imitating what a comedian does. That's if somebody was playing a comedian in a movie, what they would do.
Yeah.
No real person would talk to somebody like that. I wanted to be Steve, Jenny from the block. I wanted to be Steve from Aunt Marilyn's 3 Horizon Road 4 League. I just wanted to be the guy who was sitting on the couch carrying on, or the guy in the back of their Cadillac. Just be silly, just free associate. And that's how I took Steve Martin's getting away from the punchline. Not only did I get away from the punchline, I got away from the stage and the microphone, where people, without knowing it, were subliminally falling into my philosophy of saying, hey, this is just Steve. Remember that we talked about how I brought my own paper cup?
Yeah, he carries a paper cup with him everywhere he goes.
Right, and I just had you put hot water in it.
Yes, he's not homeless.
This makes me feel like a genuine person, not a performer. This makes me feel just like, instead of having a mug or something, it makes me feel more down to earth. I'm a Brooklyn public school kid.
But the cup's like falling apart.
Well, I'm falling apart. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just a metaphor. Everything you do should carry all your DNA of who you are and what makes you funny.
Sure. Well, how long have you been doing your style of comedy? You used to do a more traditional.
There weren't that many comedy clubs years ago. And believe it or not, I've done comedy in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, the 10s, the 20s, whatever you call it. And Fran said to me, you were always running around the audience. You were always sitting on people and climbing. I said, really, I was? Not just the bookers, but my fellow comedians. I could feel like a negative energy from them. Not all of them.
What you're doing is you're creating this, everyone's in a frenzy, right?
Right.
And if I'm a comedian working at a club and I'm working on material I wrote and I have to follow that, I'd be pissed off too.
Well, you know what? No, because
it's hard to follow.
But then there'd be no Andy Kaufman. There would be no Steve Martin.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I'm not arguing with you, but I'm just saying, and that's another thing with comedy.
But you have to.
So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to not have Jackson Pollock because all these average painters have to use a paintbrush?
Some people that do that, I know people that just do the same. They don't do what you do, but they do something similar, but they do the same exact.
Oh yeah, they're not ad-libbing.
Right. It's not.
Those things are all planned.
Yes, but it works. So I mean,
because the audience thinks they're.
Some people call it hack. I'm not defending it because I don't like to follow that either. But they bring the crowd into this frenzy, and you have to follow that. You can't call it out and be like, well,
Let's take the situation where, first of all, you shouldn't have been hosting. You could have closed all. Can I be?
Oh, you're talking about your shows. Yeah.
All right. So, and the first thing I did was come up to you. I think, do you remember this, and saying, first of all, I thought it was the right thing to say to you, and I wanted you to know this. I said, Paul, and I never met you before, you could be closing this show. Thank you so much for hosting it. And I have so much respect for you for hosting it. But let's be honest. I should not be featuring.
No.
All right. And not only that.
You shouldn't be featuring anywhere.
Do you know in 2001, I was a national headliner on stage with a microphone. I've been a national headliner since 2001.
When did you start not using a microphone?
6 years ago.
Okay. So you said at that point, you're like, fuck it.
It was an accident. I was doing a condo. They have these condos in South Florida, which I like doing, by the way. They hold auditions and they put on like 9 comedians. And then afterwards, it's like the NFL draft. They make a decision. decision which Jew they want, because they mostly want Jewish comedians down there. So you know what I mean?
That's true.
You do these things, and I was running late, and I came in the back of the room, and I swear to God, don't ask me why, there was a cross-dresser who was the MC up front. And whatever reason, as soon as I got there, they were very anxious for me to go on. She starts introducing me.
Sure.
I grab the microphone from the back of the room. I come running, and I just start talking to the audience. And I just start cracking jokes. And people are laughing. And then I went on stage and finished up. And then I said to myself, this is fantastic.
Well, it couldn't have been
Comedy
6
Club.
years ago because we worked together like 10 years ago.
Was it that long?
Yeah. It was
I'm
before
only
COVID.
45, according to me.
I think it
Oh,
was.
it can't be 6 years ago. It has to be 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was 10 years
All
ago.
right, here's another
Anyway.
thing. I may have ADD, everyone, because one of the things I read about ADD, we have no
Recollection of
we
time.
have no idea of time.
Yeah.
You
sure.
have it too?
Yeah. I got professionally diagnosed 6 months ago.
By
now.
a psychologist, or you took a
I
test?
took a test.
You know what I'm worried about right now? I have so much self-consciousness and embarrassment and doubt. I'm wondering if this episode would be better if you just cut me out and we just listen to you.
We're going to bring it in. Otherwise, we'll be here for 8 hours. And
Oh, we
that's gonna
will.
I have
What-
to edit all this.
You could edit it straight. Let it flow. Let it flow.
No one's going to listen to us.
You know what I realize also?
No one's going to listen to 6.5 hours of 1.5 Jews. So let's get down to the
1.5 Jews?
nitty. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Because the microphone was on stage and a lot of clubs didn't have a microphone at the back, I just came through the crowd from the back and I talked without a microphone. Everybody laughed. And then I kept seeing how long I could stay in the audience without going on stage. And that's where philosophy comes in, tying it back to what I said in the beginning. I've literally walked out of clubs. Like if somebody goes to the bathroom, I've seen other comedians try and do the joke like they're following them. No, I'll walk all the way in the bathroom with them. You know what I mean? I have to go to whatever extreme. So if I thought there was something funny about going on stage, I might have
just
gone on
follow
stage.
it. Before you did this, you were doing traditional stand-up where they were giving you 40
what happened
minutes.
is I had felt so much negative energy from the other comedians that I learned to be a monologist. But when I first started in comedy, believe it or not, I wouldn't call it crowd work, but I was kibitzing with the audience. I was creating havoc. I was sitting on people's laps.
which is what you're doing now.
It's full circle. I did props. I used to change into a white suit, and I used to take a Rolling Stone magazine cover of like Don Johnson and put it on my face like I was Don Johnson from Miami Vice. I did something I thought was really good, though. And you notice I haven't said that about anything of my other stuff. I used to play the James Bond music, and I'd sit in a chair and dun 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 dun, and I'd mime like I was in a car. Dun 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 dun, and I'd make like the car, ram me the car, and then at the end, and I'd mime it. I'd roll down the window like he was, like I was going to shoot him, and then I just went, "Can you tell me the directions to the nearest 7-Eleven?"
Yeah.
So I just did what I thought was funny.
You were getting laughs.
Big laughs. And some nights not. There's a lot of rules in comedy. It's not as loosey-goosey as you think it is.
Prop comedy was frowned
They hate
upon.
prop comics. I'm fairly educated and cultured.
Yeah.
So to me, it's funny because my parents made me go to museums and made me go to the ballet.
Yeah.
To me, it's funny to behave like an idiot.
Right.
Because it's my only way to break away from this terrible
look at
upbringing.
Conan O'Brien, who's like a well-educated cast. He does smart comedy, but then he's just goofy.
And why
sometimes,
can't
too.
you be everything? Why can't
He's
you be
the best?
Sometimes you're silly,
Yeah.
smart, sometimes
Let me ask you this. So you're talking about those days where you're doing the catch, comic strip, all those places. What's the biggest difference?
getting turned down by them. Can I be very
well,
clear?
you were doing them too.
No, eventually I got into the comic strip, and then Richie Tinkin loved me, and he let me run wild.
And Dangerfields.
Oh, Dangerfields, I was the number
Okay,
one
but
act.
so you were a paid regular in the 80s?
No, I don't think it really happened to the 90s.
Okay, so the
happened to the
90s.
90s. And they're off.
So in the 90s, it's giving me more work because you don't want to wear
When a
headphones.
nightingale
So-
says I love you. I feel like a crooner from When Your Sweetheart Writes a Letter. I'm
Anyway,
ruining this
It's
podcast,
okay.
everybody.
No, you're fine. So in the 90s, you're doing sets, you're paid regular at the clubs, right?
Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
A couple of them. What's the biggest difference that you notice, or a trend in terms of what happened?
100% crowd work.
No. I'm talking about after shows. What happened differently in the 90s? 80s, I heard there was a big drug scene. What was it like back there in the green rooms back in the day?
Well, first of all, we cared so much about getting laughs. We didn't care about what thank you for having me on the podcast. Thank you so much.
There wasn't a podcast.
I don't want to bite the hand.
No.
I don't want to bite the hand that broadcasts me. We just afterwards got together, and we didn't have the self-confidence that these comedians have today. I know Dave Attell since he was 20. Dave used to watch me. And afterwards, I remember once we took a long walk, and I said, Dave, you're so funny. And he just kept telling me he's not funny.
It's self-awareness.
We didn't believe in ourselves the way everyone believes in themselves
good.
now.
That's good to have that self-doubt. It makes you better.
I think so. The difference then was we were more concerned with being funny. How could we be better at being funny? And what the hell did I do tonight that was funny? So if I'm working with a comedian or an actor, and I find they're very cerebral, I try and get them to do physical things.
Oh, I think that's important. I've become way more physical with my comedy, and you could sell a lot of comedians. They can sell their jokes that aren't well written because they're such good physical comics, or vice versa.
I think that some comedians have said, I know they've said, they don't want to push the material. They just say the material lightly to see if the written joke is well. But then again, if everybody was just doing written material.
The argument for that, let me just say why I do that too, is because if your base is funny and then you later add to it physically, that's like if the ice cream is good, just vanilla ice cream. And then when you do the physical, that's like the cherry on top, the chocolate.
I totally agree.
I do like that theory.
That's like being a baseball pitcher. You know what I mean? If your kick up is good and your delivery is good and your follow through, you want to have all these things.
If you want to use a baseball analogy, say you've got an amazing fastball. When you practice, you don't practice your fastball as much. You're working on your other pitches.
Yes, but I don't think that's analogous. I think that's like.
Oh, I think it is.
If you're working on your fastball, you're working on your fastball. If your fastball is your strength, you're not going to work on it as much. Most people always work on what they do well.
For me, the physical aspect of it is adrenaline.
Excellent.
An actual show.
Excellent, because physical doesn't just mean mugging. Physical is also what goes on internally in you.
Yeah.
So when you're playing a character in a movie or a play, you want to get the vibe.
I also think that sometimes people like you for the wrong reasons. Like, for example, we're going to be doing a show possibly where one of us is going to die.
This could be very bad.
So this might be the last time you see us.
Yeah.
Crowd is going to be, if this crowd shows up.
You don't have to say which side they're on, but they're going to be
I can
probably
say
on
what
one
side. There's a club that's going to show up, pro-mob. I think they're going to love you.
I think they are too.
But for the wrong reasons. If they show up, I might have scared them away if they did their research.
You told them I was Jewish?
No. I think there's
I'm
Jews.
kidding. That's what scared them away.
No. Well, I'm Iranian, so that's going to scare them away too.
That's the reason I love you.
Yeah. They tend to be very sensitive right now. Like, I can see a conservative crowd really laughing at some of the stuff you do, not understanding where it's coming from.
This is something
if that
we
makes
should talk
sense.
about. I do a lot of ethnic humor.
Right.
I am an ethnic person. I am Jewish. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I can only bring to you my real life. It all comes from the heart. I can only talk about what I know. We made ethnic jokes growing up. People could be laughing for the wrong reason at them. However, I make it clear to them.
Yes.
This is honest. You want to tell a black joke? And I tell it in front of everyone. The black guy. So you want to tell a black joke? Tell it to that black person's face. You want to tell a Jew joke? Tell it to my big Heb nose.
Yeah.
But don't tell me people in America don't tell ethnic jokes, because they are telling them tonight at another club, a country club.
Right.
So people understand what I'm saying.
I can see where someone on the far left, like a very progressive woke person, would be offended, even if they heard you give the explanation.
All right, let's get.
Has that happened?
Yes. You know what? This happened to me in another. Can I say my friend Dustin Chafin was doing a podcast. It's like therapy. You know, in therapy, I always would save the best for last so that my therapist wanted to see me next week. So, like, right before they say time, when there's a minute left, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, oh, by the way, the therapist will go time, and I'll go, oh, by the way, when I was 4, I saw my father's penis. Whoa, tell me more. No, I'll see you next week. Dustin goes to me at the end of this podcast, did it ever go wrong? I go, are you fucking kidding? We had 220 people at Dangerfields one night. Packed house.
How long ago was this?
15 years ago.
Okay, so probably 20.
And yeah, probably 20. This is called interpolating.
So 2000s, yeah.
Within the first 10 minutes, people started walking out. 180 people walked out at 220, and they walked out slowly. And everyone thought before they left, they had to make sure, because when people don't like, as they're walking out slowly, they're turning to me and they're going, fuck you. They walk out. The next person, you suck.
Okay. What was the joke that pissed people off?
I told them that before the show, I shot a load in my fish tank.
That's it? Okay.
They got very upset with that. I told them it floats. It didn't go in the fish eyes.
Was this like a special audience?
No, they just turned on me really badly.
That's nowhere near what I would think that someone would turn on you for.
Yes, they didn't like it. And
I would think it would be like an ethnic thing. Didn't you have something where someone took it the wrong way? And I was like, oh no.
I don't remember having any bad, I'm being very honest, I don't remember having any bad shows at the club that you and I met at.
I don't remember a bad show that night at all.
Right.
Not for you.
And also, what is a good show? A good show to me is I'm being myself, I'm being original, I believe in what I'm saying. So it's not just about...
Well, also the crowd believes what you're saying. Because you can say all the three things you just said, and the crowd hates you.
Yeah, but I'm saying to me what a good show is.
That's not a good show.
No, not for you guys, but for me it is. No, if
I go up
there, no, it's not. If I go up there and I say I'm a feminist and I love women and they turn on me. Oh, so I was doing a show and I said, I'm a feminist and I can't believe that women make 70 cents on a dollar. And a woman corrected. She said, no, that's not true. I said, that is true. She says, no, they don't. That's not true. After the show, I find out there was a group Republican club and they were there and I was sticking up for women. Masturbation is when you're doing something that has no humanity to it in comedy and you're just ramming it down their throat and you don't give a shit about them. I'm going to say that women deserve to be paid the same amount of money as men. Masturbation is say that black people and Jewish people and Irish people and Catholic people and gay people and LBG, they're all equals. And that's not masturbation.
I'm saying it's masturbation if they're not enjoying themselves.
No, that's not true.
So that's what a person would say, that if they have sex and they came, but the other person didn't.
If you take the movie Citizen Kane.
Yes.
And somebody doesn't like that movie, was Orson Welles masturbating?
No, because that's a work of art to other people in the audience that have seen that movie.
Masturbation as a comedian is when you...
Also, overrated movie. We could talk about that another time, but...
All right, I have to address this because I think a lot of people don't understand Citizen Kane. The end of the movie is Rosebud, and he's this millionaire, more than a millionaire. He's a journalist. It's based on William Hearst. He's ostentatious. He's got sculptures.
And all he wants is his sled.
And at the end, we find out the most important thing, you get it, was his sled.
It's still not.
So it really goes to show you money as a compensation for love. When it finally came down to the thing he wanted most was his sled, which they had thrown away heartlessly. I think that's very important. And also the lenses, because they came up with deep focus, which if you look at the movie, meant that everything's in focus, even 30 feet away.
I'm sure cinematography-wise, it was ahead of its game, but the storyline... It's okay.
It's not in my top 5.
It's not my top.
Can I say it's not in my top 5?
It's not in my top 20.
You know what I love? And by the way, we can chop this up and we could just try and sell this as a movie talk now. My favorite movie of all time right now is Gladiator.
I just saw that for the first time because another comedian was making fun of the fact that I had never seen it. Not bad. It's okay. It's top 5.
It has a lot to do with showmanship because if you listen in the movie, he is told, win the crowd and you'll win your freedom. And as an entertainer, my humor is about freedom.
Back 10 years. Let's go back 10 years then.
Okay.
After shows 10 years ago, were you doing the same thing?
This is like hypnotism.
Were you doing the same thing?
Google. I went back too far.
10 years. 10 real years, not the ADHD years. What were you doing 10 years ago after shows? Same thing? Or when did you start doing this?
I think it's been like that for about since 2001.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe
so this
24
is a thing
years.
that you do.
Oh, yeah. I carry notebooks. I have my notebook with me tonight. There were not many places to do comedy in 1981 or 1982. After we would do our shows, we would go out to eat. That was like the big thing. You go to a diner or in Greenwich Village, you go to a place, Sandalino's was a late night place. And we'd talk about our sets and how we did or how we didn't do. And then we'd also just say the craziest things. We enjoy talking, and we don't feel the pressure of the clock. And I'm not just talking about you and I, but the people that are watching this. We don't feel that pressure.
Well, some of them are not people that are late night people. They just want to understand. We're trying to convince them it's good, and you're not doing a good job. So let me ask you this.
But I was going to say this. I was going to say, we might have 2 or 3 hours, which right now to you, you're going, how am I going to edit this? If I get killed, this is going to be the most valuable footage.
Well, what was there ever a night where you're like, that's an example of why I wish I didn't stay out?
No.
No regrets
No, and I've
ever?
talked about this with my friend. I have many regrets in my life, but not that. I have
Not
many
after
regrets.
midnight?
Not after midnight. I made a decision to do comedy, and a lot of it has been very rough. It's the best decision in certain ways I ever made in my life. I have no regrets for all the antics that went on after shows. I was so lucky to have fun, to meet women, to go to nightclubs, to go dancing, to meet the crazy people that come out after 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And even though I didn't achieve what I still would like, fame, that I wouldn't trade a second. And I certainly had an opportunity like you to go back to Price Waterhouse as an accountant or trade stocks, which I did at Merrill Lynch when I was 19 years old. And I would have made a lot more money and been a lot more stable financially. And I wouldn't trade a moment. Every moment after the show was so much fun.
Yeah, those are the best
so
things.
much fun.
Let me ask you the flip side of that. What are some examples of some of the greatest things that happen, like when you're just out?
I remember I was hosting the comic strip in Fort Lauderdale, and I introduced David Say, and it took forever to walk to the microphone. And I'm standing there like Jackie Gleason, but can it core an apple? And like I didn't know what to do. And then he comes up to me and he starts talking in my ear. He goes, hey, you're doing a good job. Really low. He's like, he's not starting, all right?
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, you're doing a really good job. I've been really enjoying you, and you're getting so comfortable on stage. Motherfucker, begin the show. I have to get off the stage.
Right.
Again, it goes back to Steve Martin, and I started putting it together. You don't have to get a laugh right away. Every comedy coach that tells you have to get a laugh right away is not right.
You talk about comedy coaches. What do you I've never heard the term comedy coach.
You're crazy. Every club has a comedy coach now.
No, we don't have. I've never.
Wait, the Laugh Factory here doesn't have a comedy coach?
There's no such thing as a comedy coach.
Every comedy.
Or maybe it's the term you're using different. You mean like a mentor?
No. Are you serious?
Never heard the term.
By the way, also,
I've heard
this is the only time you're going to see two Jews together who raised their voices to each other and aren't arguing.
I just don't
If
understand.
you and I were at a restaurant, it would be, let me get the bill. No, let me get the bill. No, let me get the bill.
There's a comedy coach at clubs in New York?
Yeah, just about every comedy club has a comedy class.
Are you sure? Comedy classes, I understand.
Yeah,
I've
so
heard.
that's a comedy coach.
Yeah, but they're not going to the shows. They're during the day teaching classes.
Yeah, and that's what a comedy coach
Okay.
does. And a comedy coach often sits, I'll mention some of the people I've coached. I've coached Lisa Lampanelli.
Yeah.
One-on-one. I've coached Carmen Lynch. Both of them are funny.
Carmen Lynch is hilarious.
Yeah, I was her comedy coach. Don Jameson, you may know. Don Jameson and Jam and Jim, his comedy coach. I've been John DeRest, his comedy coach for over 25 years. Tommy Savitt, the Tommy Llama. I've been his coach over 25 years.
So they hire you after they take your class?
No, I sit with them one-on-one.
Oh, okay.
And what I do, why I say I'm a coach, I'm not going to write material for you, which a lot of the comedy coaches do. I'm going to take a look at you, observe you. Also, I'm a director. I really am a film director. And I'm just going to highlight what I see about you and encourage you to go in certain areas. Obviously, it's deeper than that, but
I get the gist of it.
yeah.
No, I've never heard that term.
All right.
I mean, there's comedy at Second City. They teach comedy.
Mm-hmm.
They hire comedians to teach other comedians.
Yeah, but Second City, all right, first of all,
well, they do stand up there now.
Yes,
but they also do it at
that would be a comedy
Zanies.
class.
Yeah.
But what we have
Coach
in
is
America
different.
now are many comedians are trying to be comedians, are taking one-on-one lessons with somebody who calls themselves a comedy coach. Look, if it works for you, and that's great.
Never heard
And if you're crazy. Listen, all I want to do is anyone watching, right, with anyone who's watching this podcast
or listening,
would you please write in the comments that you've heard of this?
No,
now I don't even know why we're talking about it.
I don't know either. It doesn't matter. We're out of time.
You were great. No, you
didn't answer any questions.
Well, it's sort of in there. I answered him the way I answered him, like Jackson Pollock. I did it in my own abstract. I'm an abstract witness.
Where can people find out more about you, and what's your main social media that you like people to go to?
Well,
it's your Facebook.
I'm in Whole Foods a lot.
Yes.
I like this organic drink called Vuka, V-U-K-A.
No free promo. We'll take that out.
That has to go also?
Yeah.
My website is stevemarshallcomedy.com, stevemarshallcomedy.com. I'm on Instagram, Be Calm, Don't Behave, B-E-C-A-L-M. And you know I have a philosophy, which is don't behave.
Yes.
Which means don't behave, be yourself. And that ties into what I was saying. My whole life, I was just raised to dress a certain way, to speak a certain way, to behave a certain way, and it wasn't me. And I had to learn to regain. I was getting very depressed. I was seeing therapists. I was really not happy. And it wasn't until I stopped behaving like everybody else told me to behave. And I just went back to just being Steve. And some people are offended and some people aren't. It's not even offended. Some people, I'm not there. You're not everyone's cup of tea. So,
but you're not walking people like you did that one day.
All right, don't give me a kinahur saying Jewish. Don't curse me.
No, I'm saying like
no.
I've been Brian Holtzman, who's he's similar to you in the sense of the shock value aspect of his comedy, but like he walks people, and now he's made a living off of videotaping those people walking out because they're offended.
First of all, now you have to say Brian is my friend, and I think Brian is the best comedian today, and he's the extension of Lenny Bruce, and he is the nicest person, and he is doing a satire. All right, in other words, he's almost like Archie Bunker, where he is playing a guy that so obviously is not. I don't want to put words for. But Brian will tell you during his show, he'll say, this is a satire. And he'll say, do you really believe I would do these things?
Yeah.
As Brian
he doesn't let the audience in on it all the time.
Well, when I see him, he does it. I remember the first time I saw, and I think he's the best comedian, my favorite right now. I saw him at the Comedy Store, and there was a young man in a wheelchair with his wife. And the first thing Brian comes out and says, I can't stand handicapped people. And that's what he does. He tries to say the thing that you're not supposed to say. Right. And this guy laughs so hard.
Right.
And Brian wouldn't stop. And afterwards, everybody wants to be treated like an equal. He didn't say he was a bad person, but if you're going to make fun of Jewish people, if you're going to make fun of black people, if you're going to make fun, he wanted to be made fun of too.
People can tell the difference between punching down and just punching and with somebody.
This is never going to end. I don't mind punching down. I can't stand people. Not you necessarily. I think punching down is another affectation to say that. Elephant in the room. Were the Three Stooges punching down?
No.
And they were pretty funny. I think they were punching down. I think there's
a difference when, if you're coming from a place of honesty and you're a good person, you're not going to punch down.
What do you call punching? What is punching the definition?
It's like hitting someone when they're already down. There's no
I'll
reason.
take that. That's not my definition.
What Brian Holtzman did is not punching down.
No.
That's clearly. But I think he's inclusive. It's actually inclusive.
But I've had comedians use that phrase with me and say, you don't have to punch down, okay? And I think they're using it in just a very negative way, meaning anything with a dirty word. If I want to talk about blowjobs or I want to talk about eating pussy, they
punching down is making fun of someone who's already down, but you're also doing it in a way to push them further down as opposed to bring them in. If you're making fun of someone, for example, if I have a joke where I talk about my mom's name, her name is Negar. It's her real name. When I was a kid, I used to call her by her first name, and I do that joke, and people get offended, and I call it out. I go, a lot of white people got nervous and they start looking at you, the black guy, say if it's okay to laugh. I just want to let everyone know it's my word for my mom. You're not allowed to call her that. And that means you too. So he's in on it. Everyone's included. Look, it's inclusive. But if I said it differently, it's different.
My thing for me is this. It's like, yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. If I tell something that's humorous that hurts some people or is malicious, I don't want to do it.
Well, you're always going to hurt someone. The question is, what was your intent?
It never is to hurt anyone.
So then you're fine.
And also, I'm like Lenny Bruce. I'm not Lenny Bruce. I can't be great like Lenny Bruce. But Lenny Bruce taught us that it's not the word.
But that's a joke that, for example, I only like doing that joke when there's more black people in the room than not.
Right, because you're doing it to
If
their
I do
face.
that joke in like a predominantly everyone's white and they're kind of, I think they're going to be racist and they're laughing for the wrong reasons, I actually call it out. So that's why it's not punching
And that's
down.
excellent.
So
Also,
if I see, like, let's say we're in West Palm Beach and if I decide to do that joke and they crack up too much, I'm like, now I know where that Club 47 is.
yeah,
If that makes sense.
I think it's important for me to share some of the humor that people that are prejudiced say behind our backs. And I enjoy doing it to people's faces so they squirm and they say, we know. I know the Jew jokes you're telling. So if I come out and say, why do Jews have big noses? The air is free. I know what you're doing. I'm putting it in your face to let you know. You think we don't know the jokes? You
Right.
think the black people don't know? But I do come from a Lenny Bruce, extension of Lenny Bruce, where the word doesn't have any meaning until you give it meaning.
Exactly.
And Brian Holtzman is going even further, I feel, because what he's saying is the joke only has the meaning you put to the joke.
Sure.
So it's a really beautiful extension of Lenny Bruce. And getting back to me, don't behave, be yourselves, saved my life. Because I was heading down that path to be an accountant or be a stockbroker, wear the Brooks Brothers suits, and the whole thing became like a cage to me or something, you know what I mean? Yeah, it really helped me tremendously.
Well,
and I
good.
still struggle. Can I say that? I still struggle with, I'm so self-conscious and so
That's good.
embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed.
By my auntie. I cannot thank you enough. One, because I have a sickness. I want to be liked by everyone. I'm not afraid to say I'm needy. I like to talk and I like to listen and I like attention. I hope people enjoyed this, but I can't tell you how much what you've done to me individually, just being my friend tonight, was so great.
Well, I'm glad you were able to do the podcast, and I think parts of the podcast will be useful. Thank you, Steve. Thank you all for watching or listening. Go to sleep.